What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri zone. And football is back finally. Juve is back, or I say now. Maybe after a game, I would say. Hopefully, it's international break soon again. But on a serious note, we're back. Fiorentina away, 6 o'clock. Always fun, 6 o'clock games. Not actually we do poor at 6 o'clock games the last year or so. If you actually really deep it, it's never been very good. But then in general, it's not been good. Fiorentina away. Always tough for us for obvious reasons because it's the game of the year for them, and actually it's more of a game of the year. It's the game of, I don't know, their century basically, because they are sitting that last in the league. They are in serious trouble, even though they have way more quality than the teams that are above them. They have way more quality than, going down. But, the standings are the standings. The reality is the reality. They have a new coach, that can have an impact. The new management bounce. They didn't have a lot of players going out on international break, I'm assuming. From what I've read, not many compared to us. So they had 2 weeks of training with a new coach to just focus on one game. They have a relatively fit squad, ready squad, so that's also a plus for them, and they will be up for it, because they need the points. Now, that's not an excuse for us because we need to go there and win. We need wins. We cannot go out there again and draw a game or not win a game, and that's what Spalletti talked about as well. He had quite a few interesting things to say, so that's what we're gonna go over in a sec, then do the predictions, etc. But it's a massive game for us, and we know that, considering the situation we're in as a club and Spalletti as a new coach, and what does that mean for him as a future, will he be here or not? But let's go straight into what Spalletti had to say, because he had a week off, 2 weeks off. Actually, I'm lying, because he gave the players about 3-4 days off, three, I think. So a week and a half of work, basically. We're not the full squad. So he was asked about that. He said, of course, we've been working, even though I didn't have many players available. With the ones I did, we went into detail on things I consider important. Yesterday, with the full group, I saw something new. They were attentive to what was being said, and the willingness is great to see. Here's everything super organized. They pick you up from the airport. He basically was saying, like Zegrova, the jet was waiting after his international game to take him straight to Torino. He said, even though some of them had a 10-hour flight yesterday, they still wanted to be there. We had to be careful. Some worked separately, but today everyone is available. Talking about Friday, and he was talking about Jonathan David. So takeaway of that is that he saw something new, and the question is, will we see something new today? And not even in terms of playing style, but more about attitude. I think he's talking as well, and probably playing style as well. But I think he saw something that he didn't see, I don't know, the previous weeks. Even though he's not he been here for a very long time, he saw something, that is positive. He saw something that the players are serious about, um, that the players are picking up what's being said, that the players are ready to not just pick it up, but also implement it on the pitch, and Spalletti seeing it working on the pitch. So the question is today for us, are we going to see something new? Are we going to see something that is, you know, new for us, but also, something we can build on as a squad, basically? Then the attack. The big question surrounding the attack, obviously, because Vlahovic is not 100% fit, but in general, the numbers are not good enough in the attack. The assists are not good enough, the goals are not good enough. Just in general, everybody agrees it's not working. It's not clicking. We don't know what the right formation is. We don't know who we need to pick. We don't know this. We don't know that. We don't know who's the best finisher from the start. Who's better off the bench? Like, there are 1,000 question marks surrounding this club right now when it comes to making decisions up front. So he was talking about that. He said people always refer to numbers, and we can't ignore that. But the real work is to find our stability of a foundation, on which a team's strengths rest, instead of consi- co- consistently, constantly fixing one thing or another. So he's basically talking, we need a strong base before we start tweaking things here, and that's not working, then tweaking that, but then that's not working again. He said it's about building something the players recognize and can rely on. What we've told them lately is this: my opinion of them now matches exactly what I thought after seeing and getting to know them when basically came into the club. I'm happy to have found what I hope for. We have a lot, and it's important. Um, right now, excuse me, the key is to recognize the right moments, knowing when to apply the certain things with almost everything we need. So he's basically implying, it's all a matter of details, but we all know it's not a matter of details. I don't think he's coming in and saying, you know what, it's a mess up front because nobody knows what the right solution is. Nobody knows who needs to start. Nobody knows his role. Nobody knows. He's not going to say that, but he knows that right now it's searching for a solution. Is that pairing Yildiz behind Vlahovic with Conceição? Is that waiting until Segrova is fit? Is that playing with two natural quote unquote number nines? There's so many question marks, and it's also difficult with the international break, players being injured right now until March, I think it is. There's no international break, so there's a lot of time to work and figure things out if the most of the players stay fit. Like Vlahovic, he's with the team right now, but he's not 100% fit to start that game, in my opinion, or even in the opinion of Spalletti in an interview with Sky he did after the presser. But in general, it's more about, we have good pieces. I think Yildiz is a good player. I think Zegrova can be helpful. I think even Conceição can be useful in moments. I even think Openda can be that, even though none of them are really showing it right now. And that's what he's talking about. What he's also saying is that I had an idea about these players when I came in, and now that I've been training them, actually they're backing up that idea. Now for us, for the fan base, it's about show us that idea. But he's very optimistic when it comes to this team. Then he talked about signs of growth. Signs of growth. He said we have qualities and we must rely on them. We must know that we must know them. We can be overwhelmed by difficult periods to the point of doubting ourselves. We need to recognize which qualities to use in the game depending on the moment. It's about the team block, knowing what to do each moment. That's the hardest thing, and that's what we work on the most. Kind of going back to the first part, it was saying where it's like you can heavily focus on the attack, for example, but if the midfield is not working or the backline is leaking goal, then what is the point of actually really focusing on that attack if it's not really gonna get you over the line? There needs to be balance throughout the squad. Right now, you might say there's some sort of balance at the back, but not really. The midfield is up for grabs, and the attack is like just completely over the place. And when I talk about balance, I'm not even talking about quality, but more of the idea. Okay, they know what they need to do. They know what their task is. Koopmeiners, for example, with the overlapping, etc. That's some sort of balance where he knows what he needs to do, and actually, it's kind of working, but not fully because the attack is not clicking. And once he gets in those positions, there's always someone missing, somebody not in the box or not enough players in the box, nobody overlapping with him, nobody taking the different angle to draw away a player. Like, I think that's what he's talking about when it comes to all these things. Talking about Koopmeiners, the big question is he gonna play as a defender, or are we going to use him in a different way? He said regista, so deep lying playmaker, whatever you want to call it. He said in general, the role doesn't change what a great player is. A great player brings his style anywhere. Koopmeiners has shown he understands that the role as well. Modern players know how to adapt. We just need to decide where we want to use his qualities best. In these 3 matches, he has shown what he can do. Looking back, he was good even in the areas where I thought he might struggle more. As a pure attacker, the way Gasperini used him, I'm happy he responded this way. It wasn't guaranteed. He showed personality. Now that we have recovered strong defenders like Kelly and Cabal, there's also a chance we will see him at midfield. That's a big talking point, or a big topic that we already discussed on this channel. If everyone's fit, he needs to be moved to midfield because we bought him for midfield. We need his qualities, the qualities he has, but hasn't shown in midfield. We need it. We desperately need it. And that's what he's also talking about. He said, I've seen things in attacking areas. It was not a guarantee based on what he has shown at Juve that he was going to show that. And what he was talking about is probably those busting runs forward, even carrying the ball forward quite a few times, and it was good in these last 3 games. Now the question is, how is that going to look if you're asking him to do that on a more consistent basis when you're in midfield compared to backline? Obviously, the amount you're going to drive that ball or attack the space or attack the area is going to be multiplied by, I don't know, 5 times, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be different. But what he's saying is that, well, at least he has shown that he can do it. At least there are signs that it's not that, the qualities are not completely disappeared. At least we know, what, there's a player in there who can do that. And I agree, if everyone's fit defender wise, and whatever you think about Cabal, etc., you need to give the defenders the edge to show that they should be starting over the midfielder starting at the back, especially when in midfield we have some issues. We do have issues in midfield. McKennie cannot carry that ball the way Koopmeiners should be able to do that. Miretti is a question mark. Adzic is a question mark. And you have Locatelli and Thuram running, especially Thuram, on his last leg. So that needs to be figured out very, very soon. But it's an interesting point that he brought up. Then he talked about Fiorentina. Like I said, the game of the season for them. He said, I've already been in Florence. I know it well. I spent a big part of my life there. So I'll accept whatever the situation I found because I lived it. I've lived it before. But I'll step on the pitch as a Juve coach and I'll accept everything. For the love of the sport, we must give our best, not our worst. I'll go there trying to be exactly what the coach of Juve should be. I've always respected everyone. I owe nothing to anyone normally. I'm calm being a Juve coach, even in Florence, and I expect a great performance from my players. We will face not only a strong team, but an entire city at its best. For us, it will be difficult. We show who we are inside the matches, and I expect us to show that we are people of Juve professionals. Then also said, we're not arrogant. He said, we're Juve. Like, we are professionals. We are what we should be when you represent Juve. That's not being arrogant. I like that quote. It's being a player of Juve. If you're winning, it's not arrogant. People think you're arrogant because you're winning, and everybody will hate you. That's why everybody hates Juve, or everybody hates Real Madrid in the Champions League, or everybody hates Bayern Munich in Germany because they win. It's not arrogant. They're just the best, and it can come across as arrogant, but it's not. That's how it naturally works. That is what he is talking about. We need to get back up there. We need to be coming into stadiums and people need to hate us. They hate us, but they need to hate us because we keep winning. We're not that at this moment in time. He said that he expects a good performance of his team. I hope so because we desperately need the points, but also a strong performance, and they're dead last. I know it, but that cannot be. There's a new coach. Is he a great coach? No, it's not about jinxing it, but no, he's not the best of coaches. But you know what a new coach can do? He can always bring a spark. He can actually bring a team to greatness. In the following season, it all collapsed because the spark has died. That can happen today, and we've seen it playing at Fiorentina, where games get completely out of our control very, very soon, and we're all sitting there, being like, "What the hell just happened?" Anyway, formation and changes. He said, back four, we've touched on it and we must evaluate it, but we need the right components and more time. We haven't trained enough together. This option also depends on having defenders available. We need center backs and players who give us alternatives. I talked about it during the international break live. There's going to be a change, but not soon because of this. We don't have enough defenders fit. We don't have alternatives. Even if you have for the players at the back fit, if there's nobody else on the bench, you're going to need to change mid-game formation, and that's not what coaches love to do, unless you're actually forced to do that. But if you can, you know, you can anticipate you not being forced to do it, then he's not going to do it. So that's what I said already on a live. He's going to change things, but it's not going to do. He's not going to do it right now because players are not fit and they just came back. Then he talked about the new things. He said we were able to get in more details, analyzing individual actions and focusing on certain aspects. One of them is set pieces. I saw the players paying attention, and for me, that's progress. Football is like an open library. What we discuss, they concentrate on, and the next day they try to apply it. That shows growth. There was a news report, I think it was from Nerozzi, if I'm not mistaken, saying that there was a training session entire day on set pieces. And well, if something or one of the things we were very poor on is set pieces, especially taking set pieces. We do not score enough from set pieces. Our corners are horrible. No matter who takes it, they're bad. They're getting basically defended at the first post or at the second post, like, or they don't even reach the goal. Like, it's really bad, and it's frustrating because if Gatti plays, you have a player who can be good in the air. If Vlahovic play, you have one. Turam, you have one. Bremer, obviously, if he plays, you have one. You have players who can be dangerous in the box, and we are miles away from actually using those qualities because nobody can take a corner or a free kick. It's actually ridiculous. Then he talked about the group quality. He said willingness makes a difference. A group must share, know how to play together, and have the same passion. It's not only about passing the ball, it requires other behaviors too. This group has all the right characteristics. They're good guys looking beyond the pitch, can give advantages. Being at Juve doesn't mean being arrogant. It means not being crushed by pressure. And then you also went on talking about, it's because people look at you because you're Juve. Personality is something you develop depending on where you are and what's required. Sometimes we must adjust our behavior. A bit of healthy madness, creativity, a sudden spark in that night that wakes you up. That's something that helps you to see different things and react. That little spark is most likely a lot of times Yildiz or Conceição or probably Zegrovas. Somebody do something that can ignite the team, and we've been relying on that heavily, and that's not, in my opinion, positive. And then he talked about Yildiz, said his renewal, that's not up to me. I watch, listen, but the club knows what to do. For me, Yildiz is simple. He's one of those players, and we have others who break systems, break schemes. He has that spark in the night, what he was talking about. If you start a dialogue with Yildiz, you're also starting one with the whole team. He knows how to be part of the group and behaves like a team leader. For me, that's the best thing. Again, he's not been playing well. He's not fit, but he already said, I need to play him because he is that important to the team. He's gonna need to, he's your best player. He's your most talented player. And he's professional. Again, going back to my video of yesterday when I talked about Yildiz, and people like, oh, he has no right to ask guarantees of the club of their ambitions. He has every right to ask those because every person out of the club, coming out of the club, every people, like, no matter who that is, talking about Yildiz, speaks about he's serious, he's focused, he's a leader, he's always working well. If you do not want to have a dialogue about ambition with that type of player, then throw away the club. Just get it over with. We're in a period when that is your cornerstone. That needs to be your cornerstone to get back to the top. So he has every right to say, okay, I want to be here, but where do you want to guys be? Competing for the Scudetto? Competing for the Champions League? What do you guys want to do? He has every right to do that. Anyway, I talk too much. Prediction. I'm not gonna lie, I don't have a fantastic feeling on the prediction. I have a weird feeling because it's Fiorentina, new coach, and they're not as bad as, like, quality-wise as the table is showing. But I'm gonna go. Because the lineup is also going to be apparently Openda, Yildiz, Zegrova. No, I'm lying. Openda, Yildiz, Conceição. Then it's going to be Cambiasso, the reported one. Cambiasso, Locatelli, no, Turam, Locatelli, McKennie. Yeah, it was that. McKennie. It was Di Gregorio. It was Kalulu. Gatti, but it's changing. The formation is changing every single time. I have it right here. Let me bring it up really quickly because I have the information saved. But the formation is going to be a part. Like, we cannot say, oh, it's not going to be important. It is going to be important who's going to play up top. No, it's not loading my formation. Yeah, but there are question marks in the setup anyway because of the players who are available and not available. So I'm gonna go 2-1. we're gonna win 2-1. Not extremely confident, based on what I've seen the last couple of games in terms of creating and going to Fiorentina away, and their situation is a bit odd, but we need to win. There shouldn't be any excuses. Actually, 2-1, we win. We need to win. No excuses. You need to win that game. You need to start building winning momentum, going also in that Champions League. So that's my prediction after debating myself. So in the comments, let me know what you think of the game, prediction wise, everything, expectations, and then we will talk about a post game, hopefully with a win. Ciao.